Okay, I'm asking what is the purpose of internship? I mean training. Why you would like to take a training? So what is the benefit of having a training? So your point of view.
I'm trying to gather more knowledge on this one.
Exactly. So here you will learn something lightweight structure and materials. So how the main when the aircrafts are designed, so their main designer's idea is how we will make it lightweight. Why? Do you have any idea why we need to make the aircraft lightweight? That is one of the biggest concern of any designer, because because it is not flying on the ground, it is flying on the sky. So to fly in the sky, it has need to generate lift. It need to generate lift, and as a designer point of view, it will be very easy to generate lift once we reduce or use a lightweight. That means if I can, as a designer or the engineer, I can able to reduce the weight, I can generate lift. But again comes a constraint that can I use a lightweight material? Then what are the factors that I need to compromise in terms of strength, that how stiff or how rigid is the material. Now when I talk about stiff and rigid, what that mean? That means if any surface is there and I am applying some load over that particular surface. Now I can give a load in the sense, let consider in terms of force. Let me first give 1 kilonewton. Now if I apply 1 kilonewton and I am removing the load, then let's see how the structure deform. Let's consider there is no deformation. Now I am increasing the load to 2 kilonewton. Now let's check the material, the deformation. There is a small dent in the material. Then again I am increasing to 5 kilonewton. Now there is a huge dent. Now as a designer, there will be a lot many aerodynamic aerodynamic loads, and there will be no, apart from aerodynamic loads, other gusty loads. Gusty loads means wind loads, because of turbulency, the weather is not suitable, and lot many things. So we must always, as a designer or the engineers, has to take care of the material. The designer main motto is to create a lightweight without compromising the stiff and the rigidness. The reason why, if there are some kind of external load, so it should able to sustain it, it should able to resist those loads. So that's why it's very important that one engineers to study more about the structures and materials. And at present scenario, there are a lot many ways that how they can make such kind of lightweights, then how effectively they can create or manufacture lightweight and rigid material or the rigid structure. Even by making such a structure, the body can become more rigid. It can sustain any type of aerodynamic loads, gusty loads, and so on. So I think this will make the idea the clear statement that why. Now as here in this especially in the training, you will be going through some important facts. So in this 4 weeks of that, you will learn few things. The first week, I will discuss what are the introductory part of lightweight material, how it beneficial. In the second, you will be learning how this structural change can affect the aerodynamics, that means affect the flow, then affect the performance of the aircraft. Performance means in terms of takeoff, landing, because once the aircraft takes off, it has to come down and land. So how this performance parameter changes for different aircraft. Then flight systems, how the flight system changes for different types of aircraft. By changing the structure alone, how it influence on this parameter. Then in terms of, like, if you're making a different type of structures and material, how it affects the cost, because cost is again a very prime consideration that one must be taken care of it very carefully, because this is what it determines the cost of the entire aircraft, the cost of the airlines transportations, and so many factors are into the picture. Then the last one is the environmental factor, that whether how we can effectively can increase the life cycle of the material, because each of it having its own life cycle, that is own service life. Okay, service life means that what will be the time duration, that particular structure or a material can last. Okay, beyond maybe 30 years, maybe 25 years. After that, the materials won't be any longer good. Now for an example, if you see a iron rod, so if you, without any paint, if you keep it outside, do you think it can last long? The performance or the, it started to rust. What is mean by rust? It's a one type of corrosion. So corrosion is affected to the environment. So more it is exposed to the air, the more the life risk gradually comes down. So to understand how effectively what should be the life cycle, what should be the service life of that particular structure and the material, then we will see some new technique, DeMartel technique. Okay, in this DeMartel technique, what we will do is we will see how this, what are the important factors that influence on the aircraft design. Okay, how this, and based on that we will have a study of cause and effect. So what are the positive impact and what are the negative impact? As I've said, one of the very important parameter is a weight. Then similarly, there are lot many parameters. Consider what is the span length of the wing, what is the fuselage length of a wing, of the aircraft body, what is the tail configuration size, what is a tail lever arm. So all those factors comes into the performance. Then flight systems, what are the avionics, electronical systems they use, how it is affect with the structure, how we can decrease the structure in there, how this avionics system advanced is relevant with the cost of the product. So many things we are going to connect with using DeMartel and find out the cause and effect. This is a very new technique that we are going to implement in the avionics in our this training program. And after that we will write up one review paper on modern problems that we can find, problems of aircraft structures. Okay, so what are the modern problems that we are facing and what are the necessary steps that we need to take care? Okay, so to understand that, so we have certain different subjects that we need to cover up to understand the detailed thing. Now how it is important, if I ask, okay, a workshop man are asked to transform this section, okay, this section into few pieces. So workshop man is going to cut down this piece, okay, in some piece into this form. As you can see, from this piece, okay, it will be cut down to this piece. And what they said, if few pieces of this channel section, these are called channel section, considering the dimensions of flanges, these are the flanges, okay, this lower and the lower and the top are called as a flanges, and the vertical one is called web. Without changing the flanges and web dimension, now you need to calculate the Young's modulus. Now from this section you are going to transform into this section, right? So the question is, how can you change the Young, and what will be the change in Young's modulus? So each and every material change in Young's modulus. So each and every material have its own Young's modulus. If I talk about aluminium, it have its own Young's modulus. So aluminium Young's modulus, it ranges from 200 to 220 gigapascal. So for mild steel, not aluminium, mild steel. For aluminium, it is 60 to 80 gigapascal. So you can see the difference. Now this Young's modulus will tell the quality and the strength of each and
Yes,
every
ma'am.
material. Okay, so that's what it makes a very, very important parameter to understand the structure and the material. So let's come, what is an aircraft structure? So aircraft structure is one which carries flight, ground or pressurization loads, and whose failure could reduce the structural integrity of the airplane. So already I have said this point. If there is some kind of structural deformation, it can lead to a disaster of the aircraft. So what are the basic parts of aircraft? So here you can see some basic parts of aircraft. So there is some intake, wing unit, tail unit, and the fuselage unit is there. And this each and every units again further classified. So wing unit can further classify into wings, flaps, winglets, spoiler. Then here the fuselage is categorized in fuselage, cockpit, landing gear, then tail, horizontal and vertical. This is a horizontal and this one is a vertical. Now horizontal and vertical again further subdivided into two. Horizontal tail, one is the entire thing is called as a horizontal stabilizer, and there will be small control unit is the elevator. Using this elevator, the nose can move up and down. Nose will move up and down. And vertical stabilizer, we have this is a vertical stabilizer, and here we'll have the two things again, fins and the radar. Okay, so radar, again there will be a small control surface. It will deflect this side and that side, both in this way. So whenever there is a deflections, the nose will move on the left right directions. Accordingly the nose will move in these directions. Then let's look into wing. Wing have so many things. See, wings, flaps, winglets, spoilers. Now one more thing, here we have the control surface is also there in wing, that is a aileron. We have one more control surface called aileron. So aileron control surface are located here in the near the tip section. So this is called as a root section and this is called as a tip section. Okay, and if I cut the wing along this way, if I cut down, I can see a cross section called airfoil section. which somewhat looks like this. Okay, somewhat looks like this structure. And when the air hits here, that is called as a leading edge, and this tail part, when the air comes here and flows and leaves in this direction, is called as a tail section. These are where it hits, it's called as leading edge. The part where it's leave the air or the flow is called as a trailing edge. So these are the things. Now here we have the ailerons, here we have the flap. Flap is called as a high lifting device. Okay, now why high lifting device? In short, high lifting device, HLD, because the wing surface alone is not enough to increase the lift. So what this control surface flap they do, they increase the angle of attack. That means if I cut down to this section, and it will look something like that. Okay, and it can extend at some tail. So this is the rest position. Now this can change, deflect downwards. So when it deflect downwards, the cross section will be something like this. So what happens? The air will gradually heat over this surface. The air will come and heat over this surface, and it will create a very high pressure. Whereas when comes to here, right, and here it will cause a low pressure. Due to the difference of this high pressure and low pressure, the lift will generate. And this is why the name phenomena says a high lifting device. So this will initiate to increase the lift. Next is winglets. Now some of the aircrafts like in Air India, or if you see some Jet Airways, before we have seen Jet Airways or SpiceJet or Indigo, you can see some kind of designing things are there, or somewhere you can see something like that. So this particular phenomena is known as a winglets. Now what this does in this particular aircraft, it helps to reduce drag. Now all and each and every factor has some connection with the structure and the material. So whatever they increase the span, so when they put up this winglet, they're increasing the span. Span is from distance between one tip to another tip. So once they're making this extension, so the length of the one tip to another tip we call as span. Span length will increase, so the requirement of material will also increase. So as a nutshell, I can also conclude, if I am not reducing the material by somehow, the weight will also increase. Now which will affect the performance. So which will affect the performance. So my flight, if want to fly or move smoothly, it will resist. So it is like kind of frictional effect. Resistance is like a frictional effect, as you have studied in physics. What is resistance? Which will not allow to flow or move freely. So that is what technically we call as here is a drag. So this helps to decrease the drag. Winglets. Now spoiler. Now this is a very wonderful name, spoiler. That means the thing which spoils. Now what we need to spoil here, the spoilers are mostly mounted in the center part. Usually we have four kind of spoilers will be located on over the wing. It will be nearly located in the middle section of the wing, somewhere like this. Okay. Now what does this kind of control surface does? It lifts upward. This things lifts upward. Now once it lifts upward, it helps to increase drag. Okay, so this is required during, especially during landing. These spoilers are required especially during landing. Now you might ask why we need that, because if you look into the aircraft speed, mostly it will be have some subsonic speed more than 0.3 Mach number, isn't it? Now when it is accelerating and coming down for landing, we must decelerate its speed. We must bring down the speed. So how we can bring down? It is having its own inertia force, right? So you know, when you're traveling in bus and all of a sudden the drivers apply the brake, right? You lean forward and then you lean backward, right? Because of what? Inertia force. So same applies here. So when you just directly cannot apply the brake because it is coming at very high speed. So if you do, the aircraft will make its structural damage. The landing gear might break. So they need to create some drag. So along with the brake, they apply, the pilot apply. On the same time, by increasing the drag, they can able to land the aircraft in a proper place. So that's a point of spoiler, and especially the spoilers are required for the for landing purpose. Now here you see the high lifting device of two types. One is leading edge slat and the trailing edge flap. That means one we can have something like this, and one we can have on the trailing section. Now there are different types are there, so we are not going in much detail. So as you are the first year, we are just going with the basic outline. Now let's me explain what is fuselage. Now fuselage is a place where the passengers, the cargo, where we load the things, or we can keep the things or carry the things, transfer from one freight to another freight. Now cockpit is a place where, this is a zone where we have the cockpit zone. So pilots will be there to operate all the control systems, to check all the parameters, the fuel tank parameters, so on, etc. Now comes a landing gear. Now landing gear is quite fashionable thing, it changes. The landing gear changes depends on the type of aircraft. Now if you see helicopter, the landing gear of the helicopter is different. Now if you see landing gear of seaplane is going to be different. Now landing gear of a very small aircraft will be different, and the landing gear for the Airbus, like a very huge aircraft, will be different. So landing gear is quite flexible and fluctuating, depends on the type of aircraft. And the landing gear design has to be made very carefully, considering that what is the number of passenger, what is the amount of load that aircraft is going to carry. Accordingly the design must be made. Now again further, the landing gear of two types of landing gear. One is we call as a nose wheel, which will be just bottom of the cockpit, and another will be there, will be near the center of gravity. Another one will be there near the center of gravity point. Now it might differs from aircraft to aircraft wherever the center of gravity is there. So there either might some aircraft they are located on the wing, some are located on the fuselage, and depends on that locations. Now wherever the main landing gear, so main landing gear always locate on the center of gravity. So that is called as a main landing gear, and this is called as a nose wheel, or we call as a secondary landing gear or 2-degree landing gear. 2-degree LG. LG defines landing gear. Right. So this is all over about the structure of an any aircraft. Now the structures can be further defined as different ways. Okay, each of the pattern has defined in different ways and classified in different ways. So first they say the critical structure, now whose integrity is essential in maintaining the overall flight safety. That is, what are the elements it is carrying, especially for the transport. So if it is a passenger based aircraft, so this is, we have to keep a concern about the flight safety issue, because it is all about, again, directly come with a human factor, right? Next is, if you are carrying a preliminary structure carrying flight, ground and pressurization load, so whose failure would reduce the aircraft structural integrity. Already I have discussed that. So we must maintain the structure in such a way that the how much amount of load the structure will get, and how much, which material we should use, what is the amount it can absorb, what is a strain energy, we call as a strain energy. Strain energy is amount how much the when there is a load applied to any structure or a material, how much amount of energy it can absorb. So if it absorbs 100%, there will be no deformation. But if it can't absorb it, that means there will be some amount of deformation. So to maintain the failure, to reduce the failure, the designer or the engineer must choose the material appropriately, considering any sort of loads considering in it. Then secondary structures that, if it was to fail, would affect the operation of the aircraft but not lead to its loss. So there may be some kind of scenario. Just consider, few days back you might have seen in the news that the aircrafts were flying near the Karachi, and there was several Locusters and which was hitting over the engine, but there was a huge disaster, right, because of the locust. Now there are certain times, certain airports are there which full of biodiversity, that means full of flora and fauna. So what happens, the bird strikes in the aircraft. Okay, so the way, if the bird strikes to the aircraft, there will be some structural damage, but it may not lead to a huge disaster. So such type of secondary structures, secondary failures are quite possible. But if it heats, sometimes there are some scenario also has been observed, if the birds are striking to the engine directly. So there was a burnout, flame out from the engine, one engine got failed, that somehow the pilots managed to land to the nearest airport. And there are some cases have also been observed that the flight was failed and lost its stability and gone in ashes. So there are lot many possibilities. It depends on how the failures are leading to the stability point. Then second is, failure could not significantly affect the operation of the aircraft. As I have said, that one of the bird strike. So if it is very significant, right, so very not much severe cause has been affected to the structure, then everything will be fit and fine. The pilots would able to land the aircraft on the designated airport. So these are the critical things that when a designer or the engineers are making, so all the factors concerned must be keep in the mind before they begin to design. Now here is a different type of aircraft that you can see, right? So from the different types of aircraft you can identify the shape of the fuselage is also can be differ. Then landing gear, you can see this is a seaplane, the landing gear is going to be different. This is a small aircraft, Cessna aircraft. So here the wing configuration you see, it's something like some semi cantilever beam. This is called as a semi cantilever beam. This one and this one, these two aircraft, slight difference is there, but ahead of it we have a propeller driven. Now this is another lightweight structure which can land on ice cap, snow bodies. Now see here the Boeing aircraft, the engine, where the engines are located, how the fuselage structures. See the wing. The wing is quite wide enough as compared with this aircraft. So we can identify by observing the different types of aircraft. As we increase the weight in terms of payload. Payload can be two types. One is what is the number of passenger. Second, what is the cargo capacity. Cargo capacity means for the transportation. Okay, transportation purpose, carrying aircraft from one point to another point, or carrying helicopters or some instrumentations and so on. Those are for the cargo. Passenger, it depends on what is a range of passenger, whether it is a lightweight passenger or private jet or the commercial jet. Which type of aircraft? Private jet again can be further classified. Then commercial, one is a narrow body, one other is a wide body. Now the most trending at present is a blended wing body, very trending aircraft, and they have IATA in their roadmap. They have said in 2040s this blended wing body will be into the market, and Airbus have started manufacturing on that, and they will bring down to the fuel consumption. They will reduce the fuel consumption, okay, and able to carry more than 8,000 plus passenger at a single freight. So you can understand the rapid evolutions technologies are coming up. So blended wing body is there, V-shaped fuselage is there, so many things are coming up. So this comes a wide body. So they have they can able to carry more than 250 to above 5,000 plus passenger aircraft. So if they can able to carry more than 250 to 5,000 and above, it called as a wide body. And narrow body starts with 1 to 200. Okay, so 200 to 250, something around that. So narrow body. So there are many classifications based on the different types, the span, the distance between tip to tip, increase the from nose to tail, also it will be differ. As you can see here, there will be wide difference. Here you see they are using jet engine. The choice of engine will also be differ. Here they use propeller driven. See here, all small engines, small aircraft, they have used propeller driven, right? So there are many factors that can bring into the picture. Now talking about wing and structures, simultaneously this also have different structure. Now what is inside the aircraft structure, how it has been designed? Okay, so this is, just try to imagine that this is a surface and you have peeled out a skin and how it is looking inside. Okay, you have just peeled out the skin, okay, and how it is looking inside. So inside you can see the structure like this. Just a human body have their ribs, muscles, and so many bones to give the strength. So we can walk, we can make any kind of movements. Similarly, we can resist some amount of load, in fact. Similarly, for the aircraft structure too. See, we have some ribs, right? So these are the ribs, okay? These are called as a ribs, which gives the whatever the airfoil structure they are taking, it gives a well defined formulation. Now the black things you can see, which is been connected from tip to root, okay, these are called as a stringers. So these stringers are the primary structure which will helps to align the structure uniformly. So when we apply the, so it will be like this over the surface of the ribs. So once the ribs are there, it will be transforming like that, and over this the skin will be laid over it. So when they make the joints, so the skin will be tightly fastened, and it should be uniform. The surface should be quite uniform, and whenever the loads are applied over the structure, it will be transformed. There should not be any bending, any kind of disaster in the structure. Now this structures again slightly varies on the type of aircraft. If I say for fighter aircraft, if I say the passenger aircraft, so what should be the count? Okay, what should be the count of ribs? What should be, as I've said, these are ribs, these are the stringers. Now what should be the number? How we justify? Now as in research, it has been found they have further classified into some 4 factors: single rib, then multi-spar, then single spar, and the single tubular spar. Okay, spar is like stringers, one rigid form will be there. So these are the vertical structure, you can see these are the spars. No, this one here, you can see. Srita, can you see this?
Yes, ma'am, I could see.
Okay, yeah. So you can see which is connected across that, this way as along with this way. So this is a spar. Now what should be the count of spar? Based on that the research has developed. So they say that for a fighter aircraft, it is better if they keep the multiple number of spar. Okay, for fighter aircraft, it is advisable to keep the number of spar more as compared with the ribs. But whereas for any commercial based or the large passenger aircraft, okay, large passenger based aircraft, it is advisable to have more number of ribs as compared with the spars. So they have their certain some ratios that what should be the ribs and what should be the spars. As you can see here, there is only two or few spar, one here, this 4 5, you can see 1 2 3 4 5 spars are here. But in here you see across this thing we have 1 2, then here 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, something I think it's hidden, you cannot see that, but they have given the hidden line to understand.
Yes, ma'am, they are hidden.
Yes, yes. So you can see the number of ribs is much less. These are the ribs, okay? These are the ribs. 1 2 3, then here 4, and maybe here another one is there, 5, something, very less, right? So they have some certain points for that. Now very small aircraft, as you've seen, maybe for trainer aircraft, single pilot or double pilot aircraft. So for that kind of aircraft, it is very advisable to use single spar design. There will only one spar and the rib structure. Okay, so this is the one of the advanced thing. This is how they can make the structure lightweight and be efficient flight. Then a very special type, high altitude long endurance. For high altitude long endurance, that means the aircraft can climb more than 13 kilometer or so, and long endurance can stay in the air for more than 24 hours without landing. So can you think about it? The aircraft is not landing more than 24 hours and can travel at can stay at high altitude. So such type of aircrafts has been shown be much effective if they're using tubular spar. So if we can reduce the weight of the aircraft, we can reduce the fuel usage, right? If you can reduce the fuel usage, the fuel tank capacity need to be less, the fuel weight will also be less. So as a result, the weight of the aircraft will also be less. And if you modify the structure with a lightweight and high strength, just a second, it got
Okay, ma'am.
something. Can you see my screen?
No, ma'am, it's not being shared.
Okay, just a second. Right, I hope now it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now for any structure we need high strength and low weight. That is the main concept for entire engineer. Then how you can make a different structure, that is a talent what brings out. Okay, but as I will show you some of the structures here, you see the wing morphing technology. Now such kind of concepts are coming up. So the wing will not have any kind of control unit. It itself will have its own angle of attack. You can see here. So this is the chord line, imaginary. This is a leading edge and this is a trailing edge. Okay, and as this is fixed, this itself can change the angle. But in conventional, how it is different is, there will be this much portion will be solid. This one, there will be some linkage connected between this main frame and the another frame. So this one will be the movable one. At present, whatever the aircraft you are seeing, this part, the hatch line which I have made, will be the movable one, which can move up or down, whatever the means you want. So this is how the angle of attack changes. But if you can make this feasible, for this you see the entire surface, if it goes down right from here, can you imagine how much amount of feasibility will increase? The structure itself, it's getting less, low lead structure, so it will be more efficient. So this is the upcoming work that is happening. Now you can see some of the innovations are being done here. See here, the wings are flapping. See how smooth is the structure. Now this is another parameter of aerodynamics. The more the smooth the structure, more it will be the drag will be reduced. It will not affect the structure. You can see lot many different concepts are coming up. Now what are the opportunities are there? So they make an very light and effective to build. They are using smart materials and sensors, and you can also learn how to change the shape of a wing by optimizing the flying condition depending on which flight condition, high altitude, low altitude. Okay, then how they are making, these are the ongoing projects are going on this additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing is one of the very advanced technology. So using this, you can see here they have made an airfoil, they have made an honeycomb structure. These are called as honeycomb. So you have seen honeybee, how it looks like, the concept came up from there. So the structure is something like honeybee, and if you're using that honeybee, so the structure will become lightened. So as the structure become lightened, so it will be again efficient for you. And here they have used composite 3D printing. Composite 3D printing. So these are the models, as you can see. There some are done in metal printing, some are done in that plastic composite manufacturing. So there are a lot many thrust areas, the place that you can work on. A lot many scopes are there. So there are a lot many softwares are there to that you can analyze the structural deformation, and these are the things that you are going to work on. As I already have said, see, I have shown you the morphing technique, right? I've shown you one of the figure, I have shown you some of the video, right, how it is working. Now how this morphing technology over conventional aircraft or conventional technology, you can say, right? So you can find the aerodynamic characteristics, the performance, how possibly it will affect the performance, the flight system. So for morphing, as I've said, they're using sensors. So what are the backup for sensor? If the sensor gets, there is some error in the sensor, it's not working properly. Okay, it's a part of avionics system. But in case of conventional, no such systems are available. So how it's going to be beneficial over there? Then cost, which cost is prior to be more as compared with the conventional one, and overall how it is giving an impact in the manufacturing point of view, and so other parameters. Then environment, which one is eco-friendly, which one is going to produce noise, emission. You can say a lot many parameters about that emissions, right? So which one eco-friendly. Then if there are disaster fact, okay, disaster fact. Now these things, first you need to have a comparative study. You have to make a comparative study on some, take 4 to 5 aircrafts, take any passenger based aircraft where they're using this morphing and conventional one. Okay, 4 to 5 passenger based aircraft you take. Now when you're taking passenger based aircraft, constrained to maybe 20 to 50 passenger based aircraft, and find their performance characteristics, how they are affecting with the cost and environment. Then next class I will tell you how to use this method. Okay, and so we will find out, using this method we can able to predict what are the problems and the facts that is happening for an aircraft. Okay.
Ma'am, can you just repeat again what is DeMartell technique?
Yes, DeMartell technique I will explain you in the next class, how to do the DeMartell technique to find out the cause and effect.
Okay.
This is one of the mathematical modeling. Okay.
It is used in avionics or aerodynamics? It's
Here,
aerodynamics, right?
see, basically this mathematical model are being used to find out the cause and effect parameter. So whatever might be the aerodynamics, we are going to find out. I will teach you, don't worry, how the structural design affects with aerodynamics, performance, flight, cost and the environment. How this affects on those parameters. And we will see the factors that cause and effects using this mathematical model, and from there we will find out the problems and some gap, research gap. So what are the possible work that we can do, okay, in future, maybe in future. So basically I want as a first year to make yourself trained that how to write a research paper too, because you know in upcoming generation is going to be very competitive. So until and unless from the very first year you make yourself compete with the other people, difficult to sustain. Okay, so once you have a good research paper, so it is very good for you to stabilize in the upcoming, to maybe to get a job, or to get an internship, or maybe to study abroad also. If you're going to study abroad or going to study, get a job in abroad also, it is going to be beneficial. It will add on points for you. It will boost your career. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So any other things that you want me to discuss? So today that's all from my side.